Greg, have you ever blagged your way in anywhere?
Yes, but nowhere that I could dare admit to.
Come on now.
No, I don't think I've ever blagged my way in. I have got a bit pushy when I wanted to get into a club, and I hadn't got my name on the list, and before people knew that I was, coming to do them good by offering to see their DJ and stuff. But I'm not one. I don't like that nonsense. I mean, I'd rather arrange it beforehand, or if I can't do it, not bother. But I'd love to tell you a Diana Ross story, which isn't really a blag. Can I do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So in the early days of 12-inch records and mixes, someone from upstairs at CBS plonked EMI, because I worked on the Motown label. I worked in 75, 76 on all the Motown artists.
So
what?
You know Les Spain?
Yes, Les, very well. I mean, I regularly used to go up to the clubs he played in Liverpool till 4 or 5 in the morning. Then we'd go off for a Chinese, and then end up sleeping the rest of the day before we started again the next night at 10 o'clock. But lovely Les. So someone plonked a 12-inch remix of Love Hangover, which was an absolute killer of a track. I mean, it just boiled and boiled and boiled. It was really. I mean, so, there was a time when everyone thought, the way to get club hit is just make a 12-inch extended mix. And very often they didn't offer anything more, did they, Steve? I mean, they were just like, they've looped it. But the tracks where a really good producer or engineer and musician got together and made something that was worth extending to 7, 8 or 9 minutes, they worked. So I was working with loads of 12 inches, and the white label came down. I put it straight on. I thought, this is terrific. And the next day, Diana Ross was in town. I think it was for promotion. I can't remember if she was doing any live, but someone said to me, can you look after Diana tomorrow night? I said, yeah, sure. So I called up Graham Fatman Cantor, who was the DJ at Gulliver's.
That's him.
It's a tiny little club right off Park Lane behind the Hard Rock Hotel. It was titchy. You went down the stairs. The dance floor, you could probably squeeze 30 people on. Basically, a pretty much a black club. I mean, you very rarely saw a white face in there. And it was the days where geezers would buy their whiskey or their gin or their rum, and they would have it on the shelf with the mark, so John's rum would be there, he'd drink what he wanted, and they would mark it up, and that would be John's bottle. It was that sort of club. And anyway, Fat Man Graham Cantor is sadly not alive now, and James Hamilton, the reviewer from Record Mirror, we spent a lot of time together down there.
Greg, man.
Yeah?
I'm impressed to fuck, man.
so James Hamilton is about 22 stone and about 6'9" tall. Yeah, and Gulliver's had very low ceilings, so he was always crouching. And we crammed into Graham's tiny little DJ booth. Anyway, I called him up and said, look, can I come down tomorrow night? I've got a bit of a surprise for you. He said, what is it? I said, well, I've got a few white labels. He said, yeah. And I said, I'll have a couple of guests. Is that okay? He said, yeah. How many do you want? I said, well, me plus, say, 4 or 5. And I didn't say who. Anyway, we went and picked them up from the hotel, and it was Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, and Smokey Robinson.
Whoa!
We get in the limo, and I've got like half a dozen white label pressings of Love Hangover, which were pressed in the UK, I think. It wasn't an American pressing, and Diana hadn't heard the finished mix for some reason.
Right.
So I say, Diana, look, I want to take you to a club. It's really specialist, but the guy, trust me, and you'll love it. The music down there is fantastic. And look, I've got Love Hangover, So I said, oh, great, that'd be fantastic. Anyway, we get to the door and we come in, and the doorman a bit like, they've seen a few stars, but it's like, wow. So we get in and we walk through. The club's half full of really cool dudes, and they're looking around going, that's Marvin Gaye. Right. And Smokey and Diana. But there's sort of club where they wouldn't pester anybody. And of course, no mobile phones, no cameras. So I walk up to the booth, say, hi, Graham, I've got a white label for you. And then I sort of ushered Diana in. I said, then, would you mind playing Diana's? And he went, oh, man, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He said, let me just listen to it. Let me get my intro and outro. So while he's playing other records, he's listening to the intro. He's getting the beats per minute. And then we go and sit in a little corner on one of the little couches. And then he makes an announcement. He says, okay, folks, says, look, I'm not going to tell you who this is. I just want to get you, see what you think. Slips it on. And then the 4 of us get up on the dance floor and we're dancing together. And do you know what? Of course, today we'd all be like, selfie.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So it's one of those precious stories that is just, you can only recount it. It just lives in my memory. And at the time, I knew it was a little bit exceptional, but because I was in the record business and working with artists like the rest of us, it wasn't like being a punter and suddenly meeting your hero where you're sort of a bit lost for words and gaga. For me, it was just a thrill to be with the artist, letting them hear their record in the club and dancing with them to their own music.
That's an incredible story, man. Absolutely incredible story.